XRP hitting $100 used to sound like a joke until Trump threw his weight behind it. And now it's 2025, the charts are heating up, and that once laughable prediction is edging closer to reality. But man, is there a real path to $100 or just more hype? Let's break it down. Because honestly, if you're even remotely into crypto, it's almost impossible that you haven't heard Ripple XRP's name pop up, loud and clear, all over the space. As of July 2025, XRP isn't just trending, it's building something serious behind the scenes. And no, this isn't just buzz. The numbers, the infrastructure, the partnerships, they're all pointing in one direction. XRP is quietly becoming a major player in the future of global finance. This token was created with one specific goal: fast, low-cost international money transfers, and right now, it's doing exactly that. XRP runs on the XRP Ledger, a real-time settlement system that banks and payment providers are actively tapping into. It's not a concept, it's in play. In fact, XRP just locked in the number 3 position in total crypto market cap, sitting right behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. That ranking says a lot about how much institutional and retail money is flowing into this ecosystem. The action lately has been non-stop. Let's look at what the last few weeks have shown. The current price of XRP is $3.42, up from $2.73 just 7 days ago. That's a clean 25% jump in 1 week, and nearly 60% up over the past month. The spike isn't coming out of nowhere. On a single day this July, XRP saw 87,693 buyers and 26,498 sellers, which totaled over 109,000 trades and 107,000 plus search queries within 24 hours. You don't see those numbers unless something is stirring across the retail and institutional markets. Circulation now sits at 59.1 billion XRP, which is around 59% of the total supply. With that, XRP's market cap is hovering near $202.6 billion. Now, don't you think that kind of capitalization puts XRP in a category where it's no longer a speculative side project? It's part of the core conversation in crypto. What's also pushing momentum forward is Ripple's constant work with the institutional world. Banks, cross-border payment platforms, and fintech players are increasing their reliance on Ripple's payment tech. And we're seeing those results broadcasted in real time. On July 10th, Ripple publicly stated that their on-demand liquidity volumes hit record highs, with particular growth in European and Asian corridors. The shift toward real-time settlement isn't coming, it's already expanding, and XRP is the fuel behind it. Now, let's not forget how XRP has evolved over the years. Back in 2018, it reached a previous peak of $3.84. Then came the regulatory headwinds, the lawsuits, the delistings, the headlines. Fast forward to July 18, 2025, and XRP climbs back to $3.65, marking its highest point in over 7 years. The climb didn't happen by accident. It followed a steady wave of court decisions, exchange relistings, and global regulatory shifts that gave XRP a clearer path to scale. At the moment, price movement remains intense. For days now, XRP has been swinging between $3.36 and $3.66, with over $8 billion in daily volume. These aren't just trading bots flipping tokens. This is real demand, real money, and serious attention from big players. Multiple analysts and platforms, including Decrypt just this past week, have highlighted XRP's standout momentum. On July 17th, they reported XRP outperforming major tokens like Doge and ETH, proof that the asset is gaining favor in a broader, high-cap volume market. The rest of the year looks like a volatile ride, but a promising one. Most price prediction models suggest XRP will move somewhere between $2.02 and $3.85, with many expecting it to hover in the $3.40 plus range. These models are based on real variables: regulatory clarity, institutional volume, international adoption. As Ripple continues to expand its partnerships and regulators offer firmer guidelines around crypto assets, XRP's position could strengthen even further. What's unfolding here is more than a price story. It's a shift in how digital assets are being used in the real world. XRP is gaining traction not just as a tradable token, but as a functional part of the global payment system. When you start seeing movement across banks, financial corridors, and international regulators all at the same time, that's not noise. That's infrastructure being built. But what if I told you that XRP, the same asset that's been riding the wave of institutional traction and legal clarity, could actually be on a path to $100? And man, that number isn't coming out of thin air. It's a figure that keeps resurfacing across crypto circles, analyst threads, Reddit debates, and even high-profile Twitter accounts. The $100 prediction isn't new, but in 2025 it's starting to gain renewed attention. Crypto personalities and influencers have started throwing the number around with increasing frequency. In May 2025, analysts at BREC publicly predicted XRP could reach $100 by the end of the year, and even floated a long-term target of $1,000 by 2027. The YouTube community, including channels like Common Sense Crypto, has echoed the idea, connecting the dots between rising utility, supply dynamics, and Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse's projection of a $5 trillion total crypto market in the near future. These aren't offhand remarks, they're structured opinions with timelines, drivers, and metrics. Community members on Reddit have also been vocal, pointing to long-term global adoption and institutional integration as the mechanisms that could justify a triple-digit XRP price. Their argument centers on utility, not hype. As XRP is embedded more deeply into real-world payment systems, demand rises while supply remains mostly fixed. That, they say, creates the kind of scarcity and velocity model that could theoretically push prices into unprecedented territory. While not everyone agrees on the timeline, the narrative is gaining traction. If XRP becomes a default bridge for global settlement, $100 isn't just a meme, it becomes a milestone. At the same time, leading analyst firms and traditional research outlets are far more cautious. Most credible forecasts place XRP between $5 and $15 by the end of 2025 and stretch to around $26.50 by 2030, assuming Ripple continues to expand its partnerships, lock in favorable regulations, and deepen institutional use. These projections lean heavily on fundamentals, banking adoption, real-time liquidity volumes, and legal progress. But they don't entirely dismiss the $100 number. Instead, they file it under "not now, maybe later, if everything changes." Some of the more vocal believers, like at ABS GM Scripto, have mapped out the path to $100 based on upcoming CBDC pilots, growing institutional trust, and an increasing appetite for blockchain-based settlement infrastructure. Others, including at Crypto XI-Man, push the idea that holding just 1,000 XRP could become life-changing if the asset ever reaches that valuation, a sentiment rooted in global liquidity shifts and long-term macro patterns. But no prediction stands alone. It always ties back to market math. And here's where things get serious. If XRP were to hit $100, and if the circulating supply remains around 57.45 billion tokens, as it stood in early 2025, the resulting market cap would be $5.75 trillion. That would make XRP more valuable than Bitcoin has ever been. It would also rival gold and eclipse the all-time highs of the entire crypto market. If the total 100 billion XRP ever went into circulation, that market cap would explode to $10 trillion. These are numbers that push against the outer limits of current financial reality. For context, Bitcoin's highest recorded market cap in early 2025 hovered around $1.6 trillion. The total market cap for all cryptocurrencies combined peaked at around $4 trillion. A $100 XRP would need to leap over both milestones and keep going. It's a massive scale-up that would demand not just price momentum, but structural transformation of how money moves across the world. A few things would have to happen to even approach this. First, supply tightening. That could mean large-scale token burns or long-term lockups, which would need to remove billions of XRP from circulation. Second, global usage at scale. Trillions of dollars in daily cross-border transactions would need to run through XRP as the default bridge. Third, we'd need to see full-blown financial system integration. Central banks, major institutions, perhaps even governments using XRP directly or indirectly for real-time settlements. Some also raise the possibility of Ripple-led buybacks or coordinated burns to artificially constrain supply. While there's been chatter about that for years, no precedent exists yet for the scale required. The current burn mechanisms are too modest to make a dent in the kind of scarcity needed to push XRP into three-digit territory. What makes the debate even more complex is the concept of velocity, the idea that as XRP's price increases, institutions would need to hold less of it to perform high-value transfers. That slows down the circulation, possibly introducing friction in payment flow or incentivizing holders to sell. These are serious considerations. High prices don't automatically equate to higher utility. At the center of it all is adoption. Not just speculative volume, but actual capital moving through RippleNet, real partnerships with banks, and actual money-changing hands across borders. 100XRP assumes a world where XRP becomes the backbone of digital settlement infrastructure, on par with SWIFT, ISO messaging, and even major fiat institutions. It would need to operate independently of the crypto market, unanchored from Bitcoin's volatility and free of speculative drag. That requires policy change, technical trust, and mass behavior shift from global finance all at once. In today's numbers, most analysts keep their targets realistic. Across the board, the consensus for XRP's price over the next 5 years rarely breaks the $30 ceiling. The $100 target continues to live in community narratives, backed by powerful storytelling but not yet by supply-demand economics. It would require a 5,000% plus increase over July 2025 prices. That kind of growth has precedent in early crypto history, but rarely in regulated institutional environments. Ripple's expanding influence, CBDC experiments, and its fight for clarity are undeniably important. But by every metric, those alone won't be enough. What's being debated is not just a number, it's the future shape of the global financial system and XRP's exact role in it. Yes. So, if you've been following the market, you've probably got your own take. Drop your prediction in the comments below.